welcome to Rust and Ruin. This is episode 6 of season 2. This is sort of an interlude. It's going to be a shorter episode this time. Next time we'll get you back with your full 2-hour programming, or hour and a half, whatever it is. So, last time our adventurers used a teleportation circle to travel across the university grounds beneath Lake Kamaramara to the abandoned dungeons. After running into a caved-in portion, they decided to rest before trying to rescue Ulyria. In their planning, they were beset upon by the autumnal Eladrin, Auburn, who offered her aid at the expense of her disdain for Silcey and Eganon. Then a Nothic creature attacked Karis, who nobly dispatched the threat. This creature was followed by a large orc guard who pulled down a skull mask, implying that he was the new leader, or one of the new leaders, as he hinted at that there were now several leaders, since Skullface was slain. The mask had the classic, it was the white handprint. Sorry, it was a white circle with a blue handprint, a 6-fingered hand, to reveal the ranking of the Zed Kron organization. The orc grew wild in battle, and Karis and Silcey, as well as Auburn, keep calling her Autumn. She's autumnal, but her name is Auburn. And Eganon all fought bravely, but young Karis fell in the battle and was beheaded by this orc guard. Karis, when he fell, he dropped his ruby-encrusted dagger with had a ruby jewel, and it had a line of red running through the actual blade. Laughing and spouting about the 8-in-1 god and how this god would destroy them all handily, Auburn quickly slit his throat before he could say anything else. So, that brings us to our scene, where we have Karis, who lies slain, Silcey, who is in the process of rushing to Karis' body, Eganon, and Auburn stands over the orc that she has just slain. That's where we'll begin. So, Silcey, would you like to take any actions first? Sorry, I can't hear you. There you go.
Sorry, I was muted. Yes, so I'm rushing to Karis' body, and I just fall down when I get there at his body and start weeping, and I start searching for anything that I can do to honor him in any way. So obviously, there's nothing I can do to save.
Yeah.
You're
You're aware of like greater measures that could be taken if you were much more powerful, but you know, as a young cleric, I mean,
yeah. Um,
sorry, you are a cleric, correct or no?
yes.
Yes. Okay. Just wanted to clarify before moving on. Yeah. So.
I kind of metagame. I do have something at 0 hit points, but he was negative quite
Yeah.
a bit of hit points. So I get out my prayer book and I'm looking through it and just asking my Leaky, why could you allow this to happen? Why first?
Yeah, and
Oracle now.
Yeah, you've lost 2 members of the party. So it's cool down here below the lake, and there's a gentle, cool breeze that adds to it, and it makes you shiver a little bit. But in a place where there's no wind, it seems to be coming down from the steps, and it does finally reach you. But it makes you, bundle up a little bit.
And take that as a little bit of a response from my Leaky and take a little bit of comfort in that. What is... I'm going to look around and see what Eganon and Auburn are doing. Is the threat gone? Or...
The threat is gone. Auburn is... She's over... They're close to each other. Karis and the orc. And so she's over the orc, but her attention is all on you and Karis. Eganon is slowly walking towards you right now. Do you want to say anything as he approaches?
Yeah, I'm just going to say, what did we do wrong?
I think we were... and he pauses. And you can see that, you can see he's really affected by this. As he sees the finality of what's happened. And that Karis is gone. And it's kind of... in this short time that you've known Eganon, he's never been at a loss for words. So he's usually quick with retorts, and right now he is stumbling over what to say. I didn't say what I didn't... I'm sorry. This shouldn't have happened.
It's not your fault.
It is.
We all let him down.
I expected too much. Too soon.
We all let him down.
Maybe.
And he deserves some sort of burial, some sort of peace and rest.
Auburn, will you watch over Karis while we go rescue Euleria? Silcey, will you come with me?
Yes.
And he puts his hand on your back. And then there is a pressure. It's like the room has been pressurized. And there is a ripple in the air. It's like, I don't know, kind of like in the Matrix when everything, like, when Neo snaps into his powers, everything goes, and then it comes back and wobbles in. It's kind of like that, but only like a 10-foot radius. It kind of ripples, and then your ears pressurize and they pop. It's uncomfortable. But standing before you, in kind of like this white, radiant light, is a 7-foot tall, green-skinned, 3-eyed Athalar, who looks familiar. It is Professor Dherin. Hello.
You were gone.
He stretches out.
You were on the astral plane.
I've been, well, it's...
In the astral plane.
It was in the ethereal realm. Ugh. It's...
That's what I said.
Quite different from our material realm. And he looks down at Karis. That's what I sensed. I thought I would be earlier. Seems I'm too late. What can I do? With these... with these new powers. Might as well try them out, right? And he is radiating light. And Agadon turns to him and he says, "You look different, Darendral. You are very different." And Professor Dherin turns to him. "Agadon, you haven't changed." How long has it been? It's been a couple years. I see that not being Archmage is kind of taking a toll on you, or so it appears. And he pokes at Agadon's robes, and what you didn't see, what you couldn't tell, is that there was a glimmer of magic covering up a hole in Agadon's robes. And Professor Dherin pulls out the hull and is like, yeah, you've been going through some hard times. No. Oh, well, now. Because of Karis. And you could tell Eganon was about to snap back into those witty comments, But when he says Karis' name, it kind of brings him back down to reality. Now's a pretty bad time. Well, let's see what I can do about that, right? I mean, as an ascending god, I do have some powers. Silcey, was it?
Yes.
You see, I will be honest. I took some of your hair the last time we met.
Why?
For a situation kind of like this. I won't do it again. I won't bother you, but
I would have given you my hair. You'd have to take it.
Well, I figured I wouldn't explain everything that's going on with me. Besides, it's you have your own business. You have your own goddess. So, Myaliki, right?
Yes.
We've talked. Myaliki and I, we've talked a little bit about you.
What?
Well, she is way above me. She's way above me. And you can tell he's not in that kind of. He's kind of like a hippie the last time you saw him, and he sits like he's standing, but he's standing like straighter. You saw him sitting, but he was kind of acting like a hippie the last time, and then you kind of felt his presence in the ethereal realm with that cult, his cult. But now he definitely his voice is audibly deeper, and he's changed physically and spiritually. Definitely.
You talk to Myaliki.
She's way above me, as I was saying.
Okay.
I'm an infant. I'm an infant, and I've only been alive for maybe 700 years, and so in the lifespan of a god that's in the cradle, as you can probably presume. Sorry, Eganon. How old are you? that doesn't need to be said. I was thinking you were older than me. Not all of us are on the. Not all of us are on the. He's trying to deepen his voice. Are on the God path. Some of us have aspirations to this plane, this world in particular. I'm sure, Eganon. I didn't mean to insult you. I didn't think you were. You haven't seen him like this, to say the least. Well, Silcey, would you like to see? I can't take you, but I can let you see and witness.
Witness Myaliki?
Oh, I'm sorry. I must have confused you. I'm not going to my leaky right now, and this will probably be the last time you see me for a long time, as I have a lot of business to attend to in order to become a full scale god. But I was around, and I figured I could lend my assistance. And who knows? Maybe even, and I don't do it for this reason, but maybe even you could spread the word if I did this one miracle for you.
You're gonna bring Karis back?
That is what I was referring to, not meeting my leaky.
Yeah, yeah, yes.
Right. And you look down at Karis. You didn't see Dherin do anything, but Karis is intact. Head no longer separated from his body. You see, when mere mortals cast the spells and they go through their gods, it can get touch and go. It might not have success, but when a god shows up at your doorstep, so to speak, they tend to listen. So if I let you witness through my eyes, I won't be able to speak to you, but you will be able to impart messages to me. I'm still working out the whole godhood thing, as you know. Eventually, I'll be able to seamlessly work miracles like this, but and communicate if I wanted to show you. But unfortunately, I am still in training, so to speak. There's really not a training. It's basically there's a lot to learn, and here you go. That's it's a lot. It's a lot of work.
Silcey's just completely dumbfounded. Um, what? I don't. Is he alive now?
No, no, not yet. He will be. I was going to take you along for the journey.
Okay, yeah.
Not, but you won't be going with me. But you'll be able to see through my eyes, and you'll be able to impart messages to me.
Okay. Yeah, let's do it.
And he waves a hand and he grabs it. I don't need to do that. There was once a time I needed to do these motions. I'm trying to be more smooth about it because once I have developed these powers, I don't want to be waving around like a simple mage. He looks at Egnon. I mean, archmage, former. Not, no offense. I don't mean to offend you. In fact, I hope that maybe I can recruit you into becoming one of my, not apprentices, but followers. Hanging on. No hard feelings. Silcey, and he pulls his hand back because he doesn't want to do any hand movements to make it look like he's casting a spell. Now, and you don't know this, but your eyes roll up in your head. And Aghanon is kind of freaking out. um, around you, and your senses kind of slowly go dull to the scene as Egnon's like, Silcey, where'd you go? Come back, Silcey. I know you're in there. And he's shaking you as you now are looking through Professor Dherin. You're looking through his eyes. And you are able to speak to him. Like I said, Silcey, you will not be able to hear from me, unfortunately, but you will be able to impart messages. So
How am I hearing from you right now?
Oh, that's because you are right in front of me still, physically. And he turns and he looks at you, and you can see your own self, and you see your eyes are rolled up in your head. Oh, yes.
Oh my god.
You're okay. You're fine. Don't freak out. Your consciousness has just been. Let's not think about this too deeply. you can just see through my eyes right now. That's how I explained it before. So that's what we're going with. All right. So don't think about it too deeply. I don't want you to be frightened. There's no need to be frightened. I have this under control. I'm still an infant, but remember, I am an ascending god. Not a god yet.
Okay.
Almost a god. Practically a god. Practically a god.
Okay.
He's trying to reassure you. But yeah, he's changed seemingly overnight, like almost literally overnight. So, and he's radiating. He's definitely something. Anyway, so just more powerful than an archfey, way more powerful than an archmage. This is silliness. Anyway, an archfey is like so far below me. What you just need to understand is I am very capable of taking care of you at this time, and for all time to come. Yes. And he disappears from your view, and you are back looking through his eyes. And symbols light up all around him. He hasn't said anything, but symbols light up all around him. If you'd like to do an Arcana check, you can.
Yes. Okay. 19.
Oh, that's really good. You needed a 30. But you do recognize like maybe one of the symbols. You recognize one of the symbols. And you think it has something to do with changing planes. You're not sure, like planes of existence. Yeah, that's your best guess at what is going on. So yeah, you're looking through somebody else's eyes. Your consciousness has been transported, and you're now changing planes of existence. Sorry, audience, I didn't tell you this was going to be a mind trip. So, get ready. As that's happening, every color of the rainbow is shooting out in all directions. You almost can't explain it. There's no point at which it begins or ends, but light is just shooting around. And so it's not like Star Wars where you're traveling at, at warp speed and stars are flying past you. It's not like that. But you have every color of the rainbow and maybe more colors that you can't perceive. And it's just shooting. There's no specific direction that it's going. And then you see spherical objects, large spherical objects, but they look like they're almost like, a toy ball that you would play with. And you see some with like rings around them. You see like rocks floating in the air. You realize you're passing planets and asteroid belts and then whole solar systems, galaxies, lots of stuff. And it's definitely tripping you out. You're going to need to make a I'm going to take several different things here. I'm going to say a wisdom or
religion.
I'll take religion. Yeah.
Okay.
Saving throw. It is a lot for one being's mind to take. One being's consciousness to see these things.
14.
14. You are frightened now. And you don't take any psychic damage, but you are now frightened for the rest of the time on this trip. So, you have taken what is effectively psychic damage due to this, and he was not it's not something he considered when he was thinking about bringing you. He just was like, oh, I'm going to take him along for the ride. Sounds fun.
But will it kill him? Who cares?
It's like taking a toddler in your big brother's Camaro, and he turns the metal music up, and he's like, let's go for a ride. Yeah. I've had a similar experience. So this is all from personal experience. Are you there? All right. So, as you are passing by these planets, everything then shifts again, and you see large, strange creatures. And one is like the size of the planets you were passing by, and it is coming, and you see it try to break through all these different prisms of light that are shooting through. It tries to break through and get through an attack at you. You think it's you. Well, it's Professor Dherin, but you think it's trying to get through an attack, and then it's gone. It vanishes. And then you see a herd of what looked to be like almost the same size of a planet, but they are like large whales. You're not sure, and there's like a herd of them. And then everything shifts again, and all the prisms of light shift again. And now everything comes to a screeching halt as you are now in front of this. You're on a planet now, a different planet, as you can presume, a different planet than the one you were on. And there are large golden gates. And there's this beautiful, radiant light. And Dherin looks up, and you can see huge celestial beings with wings that are all keeping guard. And they have large pole arms that look to be spectral in some way. And it's like they're keeping watch over the area. And these celestial beings have three, it looks like to you, 3 or 4 different faces. 3 or 4 different faces. So there's a face looking this way, a face looking that way, face looking that way, in all the cardinal directions, and maybe more. You can't tell. That's just from the glimpse up. And so all of them are keeping watch. You don't know what for. You don't know their jobs or anything. Is there anything Silcey would like to say and take into mind? You are frightened.
That thing that was going to attack you. What was it? You can't hear me. You can't talk to me. I want answers for what I'm seeing right now.
He takes out. He reaches in his robe pockets, takes out a pad, and he writes on it. and it says in Dharvumnian or Common, it says in Vorian, I will tell you when we return.
Okay.
And so he is walking now on cobblestone, and there's different areas that he passes by. He then everything then goes black, and then the planet reappears, and you're in a completely different place on this planet. And he says out loud, he says, "Sorry, just had to teleport. You cannot teleport to this planet. I look like I'm talking to myself. You cannot teleport to this planet, but you can teleport once you are here. That is for Silcey. Not anybody here whose name is Silcey. Any of the billions and trillions of people here." And he teleports again.
Can I hear him? I thought I couldn't hear him.
You can't hear him. That's right. So never mind. He will, once he stops, he will write that down for you though, because he is thinking about it, and that was just a DM mistake, not Dherin. Dherin's smarter than the DM, unfortunately. Dherin's a god, and the DM's not. So, yeah, when he finally stops teleporting, this is after like 3 teleports, he writes down on a pad of parchment and explains that he was teleporting because you can't teleport to the planet, you can't planar shift to the planet, but you can teleport once you're here. And then he says, "Oh, by the way, there are trillions of people on this planet. And then he crosses out people and writes, well, souls. And he finally gets to where he thinks is the right spot. You know he is using some sort of location, either spell or something in his head to find this place. And this is where you see a lot of bugbear. And you see different colored furs, but you see a group that is similar to what Neris and Karis were. And then you see two who are embracing. And as you approach, as Dherin approaches, you realize that it is Neris and Karis. Well, hello. You don't know who I am, but, well, you might remember me. I look a little different, and you're probably wondering how I'm here. And that's when, startled, these two bugbear turn around, and you see Neris, who immediately tries to go for a weapon, realizes he doesn't have any weapons on him. Karis is more relaxed, just because he seems to be a more relaxed person. And he responds with, well, who are you again? I think I've seen you. I don't remember. Well, that might be a little hard for you, yes, to remember your life that you had. But understand, you did have a life before this one, and if you think hard enough, Karis interrupts him. He's like, I can remember some of that, but I don't know if I know you. Sorry. Well, it is unimportant who I am. Just understand that I have been sent as a messenger of sorts, or a courier, to bring you back to the material plane and back to the realm of Elthazon, on the country of Dharüm and the Vorian Empire. Back to your life.
Hold on. Karis wanted to avenge his brother. Maybe bringing him back is selfish.
And
is he happier here with Neris?
And then he says, well, listen, I have come to bring you back, like I said. And do you want to go back? And Karis thinks for a moment. He says, I actually I like it here. I saw my grandparents, and Neris is here. He's my brother. He's been trying to reconnect with him for a long time, and we've done it now. So I think I'll stay. And for some reason, you catch the whole second half of that conversation only from Karis's from his voice. It's like something is cut off where you cannot hear Professor Dherin. So, as he said before, you cannot communicate with Professor Dherin, or you cannot communicate with him, and you cannot hear his whole half of that conversation. But you pick it up from Karis and his responses that Professor Dherin did relay your message. Does this make sense? Well, I'm going to return with Silcey. Oh, Silcey's with you? Silcey! Hey, Silcey! And Karis and Neris are now both waving, like looking into his eyes as if they're like a camera or something. And they're like, hey, Silcey! Hey, buddy! Hey, Silcey! Hey, buddy! Man, I've missed you. It's kind of lonely up here. But it's not going to be anymore with my buddy. And he punches Karis in the arm. Yeah.
I wish I could tell them that I miss them, and I'm gonna miss Neris. I haven't even had a chance to start.
And so, to avoid more metagaming, because people might be upset with me, but I wanted to relay both Professor Dherin's side of the conversation and Karis's side, even though Silcey could only hear Karis's side.
Trying to get character, actually crying.
Yeah, I'm trying to explain the metaphysics, and I don't quite comprehend them myself. So, and I wrote it. So just understand there's something in his becoming a god lessons that he hasn't quite got down 100%, and he hasn't got down the part where you hear his side. You can't hear anything that he says because it's as if there's already a consciousness speaking, and so somehow it's cut off. You don't understand it. I don't understand it. He doesn't understand it yet. But luckily our viewers will hopefully appreciate that they got to hear both sides of that. But like I said, you don't hear him relay this next part. But Karis responds with going and giving him a hug and they're not quite the same height, but because the Athalar is a little bit taller than Karis, so he has to reach up a little bit to scruff his hair. But Professor Dherin just takes it, knowing that this will probably be the only time and last time he has his hair scruffed as a god. So he accepts it, and then he understands that the mission is complete, and he takes out his pad again and writes, "We're going home." And so, Silcey, is there anything else you would like to say on this return trip?
I'm just gonna. I know you wanted to show me that you performed a miracle, but thank you for doing what Karis would have wanted.
And the prisms of light are shifting in all different directions. And then, as soon as you know it, you're back. And the symbols um, that were there as you return, it's almost like they light up in place again around him as you pop back in to Elthazon and he returns you to your body. Your eyes come down and you're back. Well, I'm sorry, Silcey. I'm sorry. I know it didn't turn out the way you wanted. I as a god, there's only I overestimated my powers. I still can't force anyone to come back. I mean, I could, but I would be hunted down by other gods. And then I'd have to meet with the Lady of Pain, and that's a problem. She would probably strip me of my godhood. This is too much. You don't need to know all this information. I'm sorry.
Thank you for doing what Karis wanted. I I didn't realize that you couldn't force him to come, so that changes it a little bit because I was going to thank you for not forcing him to come. But
Well, I could have, but it would have just been bad consequences for me. I like being a god. I don't like dying painfully.
but he seems happier with his brother.
And as you're saying that, you can see that as Professor Dherin just said, I don't like dying painfully, he pauses and realizes to himself that there are things for a god that are worse than death that he hasn't considered, that he's just now considering that might would happen to him if he broke some of the rules that there are for gods. And you see that all go on his face as he gets concerned and doesn't respond to what you just said, to you saying thank you and to all that. Hmm. Yes. Karis. I don't know what god he worshipped. I could have asked him that. That's my fault too. I rushed this whole thing. You tell you what, Silcey. You don't have to go and say that I performed a miracle or anything. I botched this. I royally botched this for you, and I apologize. I apologize. And Eganon looks at you and then at Dherin. So y'all were gone for a while? Like a long time?
It was, yeah, it was a little while.
It's
30 minutes? 40 minutes?
it's been like seconds. It's been like seconds. Well, I was all worried about you too. Uh, so Karis isn't coming back.
He, um, he wanted to stay with Neris.
I suppose I understand. Just feel guilty. uh, can a god take away guilt? Right, right, Deeren. And as he goes to pat Deeren on the back, Professor Deeren's gone, and you see the ripple go through the air. In my 800 years of life, my first time ever talking to a god, and I knew that guy before he was a god. So crazy, crazy. Uh, who would have thought? Ah, just a normal day, a sad day. Well, what would Karis have wanted? Would he have wanted us to take him to the catacombs? Do we need to turn him to ash?
Um,
Did he tell you what to do with his body? Did
no,
he?
we didn't really discuss either one of us dying.
Huh, that's weird. Maybe you don't care about that stuff when you die. I could have asked Dherin. Well, I suppose you probably wouldn't, right? Probably wouldn't care about that stuff when you're dead. So maybe we'll just
I
find
think we
out
should.
what they do in bugbear culture, right? And we'll we'll just perform those rites to honor him. I can see if
Well,
he has any relatives.
okay.
Maybe
How would you know that?
just doing a search, maybe in the university archives. I'd have to probably try to mend a few bridges, but he's probably worth it. He is worth it.
So, yeah, he's worth that and more. So we're for now we're leaving him here.
Well, when Autumn returns, Auburn returns. When Auburn returns, um, maybe she has an idea.
Where did she go? You said it'd been seconds.
Oh, she decided to go rescue my wife. I
Oh,
let her. Still kind of weird in that area, but we'll see.
that decision to switch took seconds.
Oh, yeah.
You didn't want to go yourself.
I've kind of been putting this off, honestly.
What happened?
You'll probably find out. And coming down the steps, you see Auburn with Euleria, who is in rags, dirty rags, and she looks bad. She has rashes where her chains were. She looks like she hasn't eaten in probably a week and has barely been given water. Um, and behind her is a pallid elf, a really pale looking elf who has white blonde hair that comes down in knotted braids that is really tattered, and she also has filthy rags, and you can tell she's been crying a lot. So, I guess we're gonna find out what's been happening with them. And so they reach the bottom steps, and Euleria is about ready to collapse. You look in her eyes, and you see like she doesn't really know where she's at. Her eyes are kind of jittery, and she collapses into Egonon's arms. Egonon is shocked and takes her and is holding her, and she's barely conscious. Who's the new girl? And Auburn says, this is Cardoza. We're going to make sure that she gets home because she was another prisoner. But something is coming. Something we cannot handle. And we need to leave now. Now. And Auburn does a quick count. And she thinks to herself, I might do this. And she looks at you, Silcey, and she says, Silcey, we're gonna leave this area. I'm asking you, out of kindness to you, you don't want to stay here, right?
Silcey looks at Karis and... Can we take him?
And then she looks up and... No. Unfortunately, we cannot. Make an insight check. Insight, nature,
Okay.
perception, arcana. Any of those work. Any of those.
We'll do nature if that's alright.
Even religion, maybe.
23 with nature.
There's an evil presence. Not coming from anybody in this current party, but coming from above, as if it just arrived. And it is strong. You're not sure how close it is, but if it's far, it's really strong to be far. And it is slowly growing, implying it's getting closer. We do need to decide quickly. If we carry his body, Cardoza, if you can help, we can carry him and leave him in the catacombs. We can find an empty tomb and dedicate it to him quickly. But we have to do it quickly.
Let's go. That might be the best thing. I was trying to think of anything to honor him quickly.
And I mean, we have to go quick. You hear tentacle sound coming down from the steps, like run. We're gonna run with his body. What is your walking speed?
15.
Yeah, so 15 feet, but at running speed, moving twice, it's gonna be 30. Because you're using that entire round to move instead of fight. So running at 30 feet per round, and you're a little bit slowed down with the body you realize you're not giving as much effort to the body, and you're having to rely on Cardoza and even Eganon, who is already has his wife, former ex, you're not sure, whatever they are, Euleria. He already has Euleria, like, who she's moving her feet, and she realizes, she's having to keep going. Um, and so you're all pitching in, even Aganon, even Cardoza, and you are making progress. And that is when you you have to maneuver over some rocks, these huge boulders. So, I need an athletics check. So your group passes mainly because of Auburn, you, and Aganon. So you tilted the scale in your favor. So y'all are moving, and you manage to maneuver Karis's body through these rocks, and you're thinking, as much as it's slowing you all down to get over these huge rocks, it's gonna surely slow down what's chasing you, right? You'd hope so. You don't know. Are you turning around to look to see if it's gaining on you?
Yes.
You gonna take a peek?
Because I want to keep going forward. Yes.
So you take a peek while you're at the huge rocks, and you see, you're looking. Let me see if you can see this area. Yes. So you look, and you can see at the bottom of the steps there are huge tentacles that have reached around, and it looks like something is pulling itself through. You can't see the body yet, but it's in the process because you just give a quick look. But you see large tentacles, and you move. So instead of turning left to go to the teleportation room, where the teleportation circle is, y'all turn right to the catacombs. So, as y'all are all running, Eganon is going to say, so I think there is some empty tombs in this hallway. Someone might come for them in a few years. We can move his body before then, though. But it's going to be a while before they get down this hallway. And then we can... Then we can decide if we need to cross the Azurai Bridge. And that's when Auburn turns around and she says, no, we're not crossing that bridge. I will get us home. And that's where we're just going to have to be. We're going to get home. You don't know what she means by that? But she does not want to take whatever bridge this is. If you want to bring the question up while you run, you can. But you are still trying to make it to the catacombs. And you hear rocks falling down. And it seems like it was just an instant ago when it was at the stairs. And now you hear huge rocks. Are you sure you don't want to take the bridge? Auburn doesn't say anything in response. Do you want to say anything?
Where's home?
Auburn does not respond. Eganon looks at you. Maybe we should just take the bridge. Silcey doesn't seem to be on board with going. And that's all he says, as he is still out of breath. So y'all are running. You get to a fork in the road. There is a very dark. There's a very dark path to the left. It looks like you're looking into a room where they've turned off all the lights. It just is. It looks almost like it's magical darkness. That's how dark it is to the path to the left. It's like once that path starts, the light goes dark. And then to the right, you can see there are sconces set up on the ground. And there are sconces on at the top of the wall for momentary placements of a torch. But there are these bigger sconces on the ground that are lit, and it seems like they are lit most of the time. You don't know if this is like a magical fire or what it is, but it doesn't look like they've ever gone out. Anyway, so this way, you guess is towards the catacombs because it looks familiar. The path changes to all dirt, and you start to see tombs up ahead in the sides of the walls. We can stop at one of these ones on the end because these all have to be empty. I mean, I would place a body there occasionally when I needed to, back when I was Archmage, but that was only temporarily. And y'all finally reach it, and you hear the tendrils again, as if they have caught up even closer. Now you're going to make a strength check or athletics check to make sure you can put his body in the top tomb. These are just these small little tombs that are in the walls. They're just the little tombs that are in the walls that you saw before. They have a lot of them.
17. Woo!
Yeah, so you all succeed, and you manage to put his body in this top layer tomb. And Eganon closes the steel door that goes to the tomb, because this is not just built, this is not just, dug out of the dirt or the loam or whatever it is that is this far below the earth. But this is made, it looks like it's out of concrete. And then there's a steel or brass or bronze door. You don't know. You'd have to sit and do a check, which I'm sure you don't want to waste time on. So he closes it, and then does a magical seal on it to seal it up tight. Eganon looks to you. That's the best I can do. Is that fine?
Let's go.
All right. Are we taking the bridge, the Azurai bridge? We're going once, going twice. Auburn is in the middle of casting, and she has been for you don't know how long. You don't remember her putting the body in, so apparently she was not in on that check to put his body in. She has been casting a planar shift spell because you recognize one of those runes from last time. And
I
The
guess we're not taking the bridge.
yeah, that is answered because the scenery around you begins to change and you see the tentacles start to invade the area and wipe through, and you are just barely missed. You never saw the body. You just see these large tentacles that precede the body. So whatever it was coming out, it obviously can reach with its tentacles and attack before its body's even there. But as those tentacles come, the scenery changes, and that is because Auburn came through with the roll of the night with a nat 20 to get this spell off. With a nat 20. My goodness. She had to face down whatever this being was, or else y'all were gonna she had to beat that, or else y'all weren't gonna make it, or y'all would have had to take the bridge, whatever that means. She was not going for that. And that is when you see a beautiful, lush forest with this brilliant sunlight that comes in. It's serene, and there is a little chill to the air, and it looks like maybe the summer season here is about to change into autumn. And you just, Silcey takes a breath out. And then Auburn looks at you, Silcey, and at Egnon. My family is not in control right now. Also, this is the Feywild, so maybe don't let your guard down yet. And that's where we're going to stop for the night. As we are now in the Feywild with Auburn as your guide. So, she has taken you home. Thank you for joining us. This was a shorter episode by about, 15, 20 minutes. It actually ran longer than I thought it would, by about 15 or 20 minutes. And we had some quick thinking on the part of Auburn and even Silcey there, and some agility shown by Silcey. Thank you for watching, and leave a like, comment, share our story with other people, because we want to get this out there. We're obviously moved. You saw Cam here, brought the tears. This story means a lot to us, and even when we lose a character, it hurts. So I thank you all for sticking with us, and we will be back in a couple weeks with another episode of Rust and Ruin, and that will be episode 7. So thank you, and see you next time in the Feywild.